Hello, welcome back to Paul's Stuff. This is my space on YouTube where I talk about all the things I love, lots of Star Wars, lots of lightsabers, and today is another lightsaber video. It's another video on how to disassemble and reassemble a particular lightsaber. So today we're going to look at this particular lightsaber. This is the latest Nexus version of Obi-Wan Kenobi's Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith lightsaber. Sold by Padawan Outpost. It's currently on their website under the name Kenobi. It has also been previously sold by them as the Ben 1 and very early on as the Obi-Wan. Comes in this chrome finish and also in a weathered finish, and it's honestly is my favourite saber. This is the saber that I use when I'm costuming, and yeah, this is my favourite Nexus lightsaber to date. It's a lovely saber. What we're going to do today is to show you how to access the core by taking the saber apart. If you want to get at the SD card and the battery, you'll need to access the core. And unfortunately with this lightsaber, it means a fair amount of disassembly to get to that point, which we'll be looking at. We'll also be looking at how to change this copper neck piece. When you get this saber, it has been coming with the copper coloured neck piece and also a black coloured alternative neck piece. So we'll also show you how to swap that out. So without further ado, let's go on to top-down view and have a look at how we disassembled and reassembled this lightsaber. My apologies, I'm still learning how to do top-down filming, or the best way for me to do top-down filming, and I am a little bit out of shot sometimes. You can still see everything you need to see, just that sometimes I've moved the saber too far back towards me. So my apologies about that, but it is still useful, as you can still see everything that you need to see. So yeah, let's get on to that part of the video. Okay, so here we are. We're going to have a look at disassembling and reassembling this lightsaber today. And included in that, we're going to look at, these come with a alternative neck piece. So this copper piece can be swapped out for the black neck. So we'll look at how you do that as well. This is currently on Padawan's Outpost's website as a Kenobi. It's also been sold by them as the Ben 1, and I think there was a previous name to that as well, which I can't recall at this time. So it's been sold under various different names from them. It's the Nexus, the latest Nexus version of Obi-Wan Kenobi's Episode 3 lightsaber from Revenge of the Sith. So let's have a look at how we take this apart. So the first thing we're going to do is unscrew the grenade section from the rest of the saber. So we're just going to unscrew this, and this will come away freely. What they've done, they've used the NeoPixel top on the core and a NeoPixel connector inside of the neck piece, and they connect when you screw this together. We'll pop this piece on one side for now, and we'll just work with this piece. What we'll show you first is how to get into the core, and to deal with that. and then I'll show you how to change to the neck piece. So the next stage when we're accessing the core is to remove the pommel. We can now see the core at either end, but the core is fixed in there, so we need to know how to get that core out. So the first thing we're going to do is to slide off the clamp card. You may or may not find that there's a little piece of double-sided adhesive material that holds the clamp card on. I tend to put one on because the clamp card does move around a little bit. Basically there's this spring underneath it which holds it in place. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take this little screw out from the middle of the spring. And then we can remove that screw and the spring together. The only tool you need is the 2mm Allen wrench that comes with the lightsaber when you get it. I'm using a 2mm hex driver just because I prefer that in terms of how it works. What we're next going to do is remove the plunger, which is what operates the switch. So this is a little plunger here, and if you turn it upside down, that should just drop free. This is the plunger. And now you can see the illuminated switch underneath that. The next thing is we're going to leave these two screws where they are. We don't need to touch those. What we're going to do next is turn the saber on its side, and we have to take these two pieces out. Now they're both screws as well. The top one we'll just unscrew, and so will the bottom one. Now, I'm going to find that the bottom one is probably quite tight on mine because I like to do it up tight so that things don't move around. So that's those two items. The silver, when you come to put them back in, they have rings on here that match their sizes. And what you'll find now is that that collar, the clamp card section, will just come off, just slide off easily. And if we have a look at the back, we've now got two screws, similar to what we have on other sabers. The bottom one retains the core in the body of the saber, and the top one is setting the button height. So it's a good idea to take a picture of these so that you know how far in they are. This saber I find is quite sensitive to the height of the button. When you come to put it back together, you may find that when you push the clamp card in, that's enough to actually depress the button, and the button needs to sit a little bit lower in the saber. So it's a good idea to take note of the height of these screws in the holes. Take a photo of them, and then you'll know roughly how far to put them back in when you put the thing back together. You may find that you need to do a little bit of adjustment of that when you come to put things back together, but we'll have a look at that as we go through. This bottom screw is a smaller screw. It's more like a blade retention screw. And once we've got those out, the core should slip out of the saber. So ignore the captan tape on here. This is me protecting some solder joints where I've changed the board. And the captan tape at this end, one of the things I do regularly, I will put tape over the holes at the end of the saber. Gives you a little bit of an improvement in sound. You don't have to do that. It's just one of those little things that I do. Then we can see the board, the button, the SD card is here. We have a charge port over the top of where the speaker is. The speaker's in the bottom. Our battery, and a connector. And these cores will operate out of the saber. So if you press the button, the saber will come on. This is a fully working core with the LED section in it. So turn that back off again and put it into deep sleep by keeping the button pressed until the light goes out. So those power on and power off sounds are my custom sounds for this saber. That's how we access the core. And we put things back together. It's basically the reverse. So we're going to slide the core in and line the button up. Then we're going to take the longer of our 2 screws that came out of the back and put that into the button hole. Button screw adjustment hole. That's the top one. And we're going to screw that down to approximately where it was before. And the bottom screw we're going to put back in similarly. And this one you put in just until you find that the tension starts to increase, and that's enough to hold the core in place. Don't have to crank that down at all. The top one you may have to adjust a little bit depending on where it sits, the button for the system. I'm hoping that I've got this one first time. But if you haven't, then you just take it off and you adjust it again. Just the screw up or down. If the button doesn't work at all, you put the screw further in. If the button works with pressure from the clamp card, then you take the screw out a little bit to drop the button further back in. So I've just put the bottom of the 2 clamp card retention screws into its place. I'm going to drop the plunger in and pop the spring back on. I haven't put the other retention screw back in yet in case I need to take this back off again. At this point you only need the one to hold it in place, so that's absolutely fine. Just going to get this screw back in. Sorry if my head's getting in shot. Pop that screw back in. And then I'm going to pop the clamp card back in. And I think we've got that button right the first time. So I'm just going to test the button now.
Hello there.
So that's working fine. As I say, when you put that back in, if the button is too far up, you may find that the pressure from the clamp card, there's very little movement.
Volume low.
It's about
Mute.
0.5 millimeter of movement
Volume high.
for the button to be pressed. So if that button is slightly too far up, when you put the clamp card in, it will be pressed all of the time. If it's slightly too far out, it's too far into the core, then the movement of the card won't be enough to operate it. So it is a bit fiddly, and you may have to adjust that again. I've taken this enough times now to know that that actually where the kind of sweet spot on this saber is. It may vary from saber to saber as well. So we put the other retention screw for the clamp card back in, and we're going to put our pommel back on. And that's that section of the saber dealt with for now. Let's have a look at the neck section. So what we want to do is to be able to swap out this copper neck for this the black one, or vice versa. So what we're going to do, this emitter section, the silver emitter section at the top, we'll just unscrew from the copper section. So we're going to unscrew that. And as soon as we unscrew that, you'll see all the cables that are in there. That cable will pull out. There's a little connector there. We undo that connector. And at this point, you're actually at a point where now this copper part should just unscrew. Now mine is very, very tight in here. I'm not going to remove it because I don't want to have to put a tool on it and mar up the surface on it. It's very, very tight in here. I might try a little bit of heat on it at some point. I'm not sure quite why it's so tight, but that really isn't moving at the moment. But basically that will unscrew from this gold section, and you can thread the black section on and screw it back in. If you want to take this apart further, you can. The gold section will unscrew as well. And then this section just comes apart from the grenade. And this is just a standard connector that you would find on a blade. It's just passing the connection through the neck section to one of these blade connector sections in the emitter. Can't see it at the moment because I've got a blade plug in there. I'll take that out and you'd be able to see. Yep, so this just connects together and passes the electricity through to the pins in the connectors, and they go into the blade. So we're going to put this back together. We thread through our cable. And then what we're going to do is just pop your thumb inside the grenade section, and that will hold everything in place. And then we're going to thread the cable again through this section of the neck. Easier said than done. So sometimes it's worth just putting a twist into the cable a little bit, just so that the cables will stay a little bit more straight. So then we're going to pop the brass section over that plastic collar. We're going to keep pressure on the connector so that it's pushed up as far as it can be. This brass section then will tighten down on it on the neck section and hold it in place. That won't come out now. Then we're going to pop our connector back together. It will only go one way, but be gentle with it because it has very delicate pins. And at this point, if you want to, you can test that everything is connected okay. So you can screw this back onto the saber. And turn the saber on, and the LED should light in the emitter. So put this back into deep sleep again. Okay, then what we're going to do is thread these cables back down into the neck. This can be a bit fiddly as well, but you want these cables all down into the socket in the neck so that they don't get trapped when you screw things back together. And then we just screw the emitter back on. And that's our entire saber now back together as it should be. Just pop the blade plug back in. And turn it on.
Hello there.
And we're all working again. So there we go. That's a very quick rundown of how to take apart this saber. As I say, it's on Padawan Outpost website currently as the Kenobi. It was previously known as the Ben 1. Does come in this polished version and a weathered version, and of course all the different boards. This one has a Xeno 3 in it currently, but they also come with Profi boards and with Xeno 3 baselit boards. This is a Xeno 3 pixel board. So yeah, that's how to take it apart and put it back together and access the core and change the neck piece. You'll find in general that these neck pieces are just hand tight. Mine is particularly tight for some reason at the moment, and I really just don't. I want the copper one on there, and I don't want to take the copper one apart. So I don't want to mess the copper one up taking it apart for this video. So sorry, apologies that didn't come off, but hopefully you can see from the video how that all works. So we'll just go now and finish off the video. Okay, so welcome back. I hope you found that useful. So we've looked at how to disassemble this saber. We've looked at how to change the copper coloured neck to the black coloured neck, or vice versa. We've shown you how to access the SD card and the battery on this saber. So I hope that's been useful. My whole intention for this channel is for it to be useful for you guys. So if there are things that you'd like to see, please leave a comment in the comment section letting me know what you'd like to see. I'll see what I can do. I do try and reply to every comment. I can't promise that I will be able to do all of your suggestions, but I will consider them all. And if you ask me to do something, you may well see it on the channel as a video. So if you have liked the content today, then please give it a like. That helps the old algorithms to know that people are liking this type of content. If you haven't already, then please consider subscribing. Again, that tells YouTube that people like this channel, and they're far more likely to show it to other people as part of the searches and things. But for today, that's everything that we need to do. So thanks again for watching, and cheerio.